Are you bulking or considering going on a bulk? I'm going to tell you exactly how you should be doing it. Don't do it like how I did it, first of all, which is just to pile in a bunch of calories and gain a bunch of fat, and then cut for 3 months only to realize that you haven't made any gains at all. If anything, you might have even lost some muscle. First of all, most of the year we want to be bulking. The more time we're in a bulk, the more muscle we're going to be building. The only time you want to be down into a cut is before, a competition, or maybe before you go to the beach, before summertime, photo shoots and that type of thing. Anytime you're going to be revealing your hard work, a bit of a cut would be advisable. Now, a cut you might want to do, depending on how much fat gain you made, anywhere from, I would say, a month to 3 months if you're smart about your bulk. If you're not smart about your bulk, then you might even have to cut for 6 months and make it a very, very slow cut. But anyways, that's going to be for another video. In this video, I want to talk about bulking and how you should be doing it. Don't get into the nonsense of counting calories and trying to figure out your RMR, your resting metabolic rate. Some people call your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, and trying to do a bunch of math, because it gets kind of complicated. How much did you exercise today? How much walking did you do? That type of thing. It gets quite hairy, and I would say forget about all that nonsense. And the easiest thing to do is just weigh yourself. You could track body fat percentage, but in my experience, those body fat scales can be kind of inaccurate. Yes, if they're inaccurate and they continue to consistently show accurate inaccuracies, then you can still measure how much you're gaining and how much you're losing in terms of body fat. But I've still found that to be not as good as just stepping on the scale and tracking your body weight. Now, how much weight should you be gaining on a bulk? As Dr. Mike Israetel says, anywhere from half a pound to a pound a week.
How fast should you gain? It's tempting to try to gain as fast as possible. The problem is, and something most people know, is that the fraction of body fat you gain if you go really quick is really gnarly. It's gaining fast is a good ticket to just get really, really fat, which sucks because you have to diet off the fat. It's not healthy for you. It makes you look like shit, etc., etc., etc. So what do you do instead? I think that you should gain at somewhere between half a pound to a pound per week in the typical mass gaining phase. Half a pound to a pound per week. Half a pound if you're on the more fat phobic side. If you're on the smaller side, if you're a 130 pound girl, half a pound per week is great. If you're on the larger side, you are okay with putting on a bit of extra fat. If it means a little bit more muscle, gaining up to a pound a week is totally cool. For you kilo folks out in the rest of the world, 0.25 to 0.5 kilos a week.
Now, this is going to depend on, how much body fat you're starting with, how much lean muscle mass you already have and that type of thing. But that would be pretty conservative, and it would equate to about an extra 200 or 300 calories per day. So that might just be like one massive kind of protein shake with banana, chia seeds, instead of water, put milk in it. And then that would be like an easy 300 calories right there. Do 2 or 3 scoops of protein, and just adding that in alone would put you into a bulking phase. I also want to talk about when should you bulk. Now, I would say you should be bulking when you're already relatively lean. If you're bulking from a state of, being a little bit already fluffy, I would say cut first. You should be happy with your physique. I would say, if you're an 8 out of 10 with happiness with your physique, if you can see some abs and you can see some striations, perfect. Now you're in a perfect state to start your bulk. But if you feel like you've got a little bit around the waistline, or you're carrying a little bit, you're kind of round and puffy, probably cut for a while first and then start your bulk. Again, 200 to 300 calories per day, and just track your weight on a daily basis. So in terms of overeating, there's a couple things I want to mention. Number one is what I was doing was I was just making a ton of rice, and so my carbs were through the roof. I would be having protein like muscle milk, protein drinks as snacks on top of regular protein shakes for, pre-workout, pre-bedtime, first thing in the morning. So I was doing protein shakes, I'd say 3 times a day, plus maybe 1 or 2 like muscle milk type drinks on top of tons of carbs, I was probably overshooting my calories by at least 1,000, and I gained a ton of weight, and I was not happy at all with my physique, and that was kind of discouraging. The next thing about that type of a bulk is I was always full and it was uncomfortable. So forget about doing any kind of ab work in the gym. I felt it was uncomfortable. I mean, my stomach was always full and it was just hard to get through the day. So that's another downside of, this excessive bulking. You may think, oh great, I can eat whatever I want, I can be full, I can be happy, I can be content. But when you're bulking that hard, I mean, it's actually not fun. So let's kind of recap here. So what should you do if you want to bulk? Number 1, aim for 0.5 pound to 1 pound per week of weight gain. Weigh yourself every day. Don't count calories, and don't figure out your BMR and that type of thing, and then you know how much exercise worth of calories you're doing per day. Number 2, don't overeat. That's in terms of calories as well as in terms of volume. So you may think you want to feel full, so maybe you're eating, a ton of something just to fill your stomach. Don't do it. That also actually will stretch your stomach and just sort of give you a bit of a distended look. So that's another downside. So don't want to do that. I guess I forgot to mention one more thing, which is when you're bulking, I would say the dirty bulk is out unless you're a newbie and you have 0 experience in the gym and you've never tried to bulk before and you're relatively young. In that case, you can pretty much bulk however you want. But if you're intermediate and above, I would say don't do the dirty bulk. Keep it clean. Get all your proteins, your fats, and your carbs from quality sources. So if you're going to do carbs, I would say rice, potatoes, whole grain bread is also good. Some whole grain pastas are also fine, but I would stay away from like white breads. Yeah, so like hamburger buns and that type of thing. Like if you're going to do a burger, I would say, yeah, burgers are fine once in a while, but maybe do it, not that often. If you're going to bulk, I would say lean cuts of meat. Rice is your best bet. I sometimes do brown rice, but that's hard for me to digest. White rice is great, especially peri-workout, so before and after workouts. You can have a little bit more carbs. And in terms of fats, I would say fish fat is probably the best. So if you can get fish down, that's awesome. So eat your salmon. If you're trying to keep fats relatively low, then maybe not do the salmon, maybe do other white meat fish. In terms of other types of fats, I do walnuts in my oatmeal in the morning. I throw them in with my yogurt. So I do some nuts. They're relatively high fat, but I don't do any overt fats. So that's no oils, no butters, no margarine and that type of thing. I try to get all my fats from whole food. So that's meat, seafood, dairy. But dairy, I try to do low-fat dairy. Maybe we'll save some of that for another video. Good luck with your gains. If you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. And good luck.